Welcome to Age of Invention, a series of short films by Merton Heritage Service to highlight the work of Merton's scientific and technological pioneers. This film is about Joseph, better known as Norman Lockyer, a famous Victorian astronomer. Born in Rugby in 1836, Lockyer was privately educated on the continent. On his return to the UK, he started his early career as a clerk at the War Office in London. By this stage, he'd settled at 14 Hillside in Wimbledon, just off the Ridgeway, and having become an enthusiastic amateur astronomer in his youth, he developed a far greater interest in the science and installed a large telescope in his back garden through which to make his observations. In 1865, he moved to Hampstead, and here he founded the scientific journal Nature, which is still in publication today. He began pioneering new astronomical techniques, many using a spectroscope. A spectroscope breaks light from a single material into its component colours, just as a prism splits white light into a rainbow. The spectroscope records the individual spectrum, allowing scientists to analyse the light and the properties of the material interacting with it. There is a unique spectrum produced by different gases. The intensity of a spectrum pinpoints the temperature of a star. Its thickness identifies the speed at which that star is revolving and its likely density. Lockyer used this spectroscope, made in 1865 by John Browning, to discover an unusual spectral line on the Sun in 1868. He called this feature helium. He calculated and made observations to identify this substance, but its existence was only actually confirmed on Earth in 1894. Lockyer used the spectroscope to observe prominences or flame flares at the edge of the Sun, normally only visible during solar eclipses. This phenomenon was also observed at the same time by Jules Janssen, a French astronomer at the Paris Observatory. The French government awarded a medal to both scientists. In 1870, Lockyer was appointed Secretary of the Royal Commission for the Advancement of Science. And by 1875, he'd been appointed to the Royal College of Science in London, now better known as Imperial College. Here he became the world's first professor in astronomical research in 1885. A new solar observatory was built of him, and this was in use by Lockyer until 1902. He's also famous for being the first person to identify sunspots. Seen through a telescope, these appear as dark spots on the surface of the Sun and are thought to derive from cooler temperatures on the Sun's surface linked to densities of the Sun's magnetic field. Lockyer was known as the father of astrophysics, but was also interested in ancient temples and stone circles. He became a keen promoter and teacher of science in later life, and you can see his enthusiasm from the subject from the quote shown here. His other claim to fame involves this monument, Stonehenge. Lockyer was the first to suggest that the position of the standing stones was linked to the direction from which the sun rises during the summer solstice. This helped to reveal the ritual role of the site. He also used his observations of the sun's changing position to date the monument to 1840 BC, plus or minus 200 years. Although Lockyer was identifying this date through his observations and calculations in the Victorian period, the date was actually confirmed as accurate in recent times by modern radiocarbon dating. Lockyer was knighted for his work and honoured with a fellowship of the Royal Society and the French Academy of Sciences. He died in 1920. If you would like to know more about Merton's history, you can visit our Merton Memories website at www.merton.gov.uk/memories. You can also contact Merton Heritage and Local Studies Centre, which is based on the second floor of Morden Library.